Hi, in this video I'm going to talk about how to stop worrying about the future, or at least stop worrying about it quite as much. And the future is, by definition, uncertain. There are almost no certainties in life. Death, taxation, those are about the only certainties. But the future itself, if I asked you what's going to happen tomorrow, there's a likely chance you could tell me approximately what would happen, but events can conspire against us, and well, you've only got to look at the weather forecast to see, certainly in places like Britain, where it can predict what tomorrow's going to be like, but it may well not happen. That's something that's only in 24 hours ahead, and they've got a lot of computer technology to do that. But think about the things you've worried about recently, and most of them probably never happened, but we're really good as a species about worrying about things, and we'll usually run through what if after what if after what if. And usually, if you're like anyone else, it tends to get worse and worse and worse rather than better and better and better. And you just run through things that a Hollywood scriptwriter wouldn't dare put into a movie because we'd never believe it. But in our own minds, we'll run through them and we'll just worry about them, and probably constantly. And don't try and second guess what's likely to happen. You can try that. Toss a coin, throw it up in the air, try and guess whether it's going to be heads or tails. And in theory, you should be right about half the time, because about half the time, if you called heads every single time, about half the time it will come up heads. But if you try and work out whether it's going to be heads or tails properly, or the children's game rock paper scissors, where you try and do that. Okay, certain people like Derren Brown can do that with uncanniness, but most of us, we can't second guess that, let alone what's actually going to happen in our lives in terms of anything vaguely major. I mean, it's pretty inconsequential whether a coin comes up heads or tails, and it's pretty inconsequential whether you got rock, paper, or scissors. But the other things that we try and second guess, we try and assign as being much more consequential, but in practice, we've got as much chance of influencing the outcome of those as we have of tossing a coin. So, to stop worrying about the future, distract yourself. Find a way to focus on something else. Go into what I'd like to call dog mode, where with a dog, its attention span shifts almost instantly, and throw a bone, throw a stick, throw a ball, mention a cat, and it's distracted. And you can do the same with yourself. Okay, it might be slightly more complicated than saying there's a cat over there, but it's not actually much more complicated. Find the things, work out the things that you can use to distract yourself. It could be watching a funny video on YouTube, it could be listening to an uplifting track, it could just be going out for a nice brief walk and change state. Lots and lots of different ways to distract yourself and focus on something else and take your mind off the worrying. And be more present. You only live once. Okay, your belief system might decide that you can be reincarnated, but there's no real proof. And basically, that means, well, even if there was proof, it doesn't matter, because you're here in the now. What you do in a future life or what you've done in a past life are completely irrelevant. You're only ever living in the present moment. You're not what you were a year or 10 years ago. You're not what you're going to be in 5 or 10 years in the future. You can't be. You're only here now. So be more present. So instead of worrying about the future, enjoy the current. Enjoy whatever's happening to you at the moment, whether it's good, bad, indifferent. Enjoy it. Live it to the full. Live life to the full. Be more present. And be more positive generally. That means smiling a bit more, looking on the bright side of things rather than the less bright side of things. Being generally more positive, saying please and thank you is actually quite a good way of doing that, because it affects other people. Smiling affects other people. It's contagious. So be more positive with absolutely everything you can. If you're around people with their own personal thundercloud, if it's at all possible, avoid them as much as you possibly can. They're dragging you down with them, and that's your choice. So being more present, being more positive, and possibly going out your way to avoid them as much as you possibly can, or just saying, well, sorry, you can think that, but I'm not gonna join you in that. Try it. What's going to happen? Are they going to get more miserable? Maybe. Does it matter? No, it's not you that's miserable there, it's them. You can't let them drag you down. It's just not good for you. And click the link below this video, because there's more help to stop worrying about the future. There's some nice relaxations, meditations, hypnosis, all sorts of things that you can get for free just by clicking the link below the video. So do that. Don't worry about doing it, just do it. Thanks for watching.